ready to receive, ready to eat from the manna that you predestined us to have this afternoon. And we are yielding, Father Lord, our hearts to be reciprocal to the word that will come in at the season, that it will be seasons, Father Lord, with the fertilizers to fertilize us from the crown of our head to the sole of our feet, that we get revelation, insight, and knowledge, that we give you the glory back, the honor, and all the adoration. We welcome the speaker in Jesus' name.
I worship you, Almighty God.
There is none like you. I worship you, O Prince of Peace.
That is what I love to do. I give you
praise, for you are my righteousness.
I worship you, Almighty God. There is none like you.
Thank you, Father. We worship you. We put all our focus on you. We put all our focus on you. It's nobody else, it's you. Even if everybody else fails, you always come. Like that man, like everybody failed that old man, but God came to take care of him. It's great. Let us focus on the Lord. Every time we take our eyes off God, that is when we become tense. That's when, tension is one of the ways. Tension is one of the ways, God's ways, to warn us that we have gone off focus. That is what he uses stress in our lives to show you're staring at the problem instead of staring at the solution. And there is always a solution for every problem. So today's text is Luke chapter 10, verse 38, 42. Rose, can you get a microphone and read it for. You need a microphone so that it's so that you are able to be recorded. Yeah. Luke chapter 10, verses 38 to 42. Let's listen carefully and let this thing sink in. Let the words of God sink in. They will give us a focus of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Luke chapter 10, verse 38 to 48.
42.
42. Mm-hmm. Now it happened as they went that he entered a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. Mm-hmm. And she had a sister called Mary, who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word.
Yes.
But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone?
Yes.
Therefore, tell her to help me. Mm-hmm. And Jesus answered and said to her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen that good part, which will not be taken away from her.
Thank you. God bless his word. Are you Mary or a Martha? Are you Mary or a Martha? Trouble. This story of Mary and Martha always seems to spell trouble for me whenever I come to preach about it. There is always someone who comes to me and say, I think Martha was right. I mean, you can't just ignore all those needs. People have come to the house. You can't just sit there and give them words. You go to, I don't think Jesus was very fair to Martha, do you? They ask me. So from such feedback, I conclude that there are many of us who have been left with all the dirty work. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You are out there on the barbecue grill. You know, everybody's, you are the only one there, and it's hot outside and everything. Everybody is inside there watching Netflix and waiting for you to call it to say, it's done now, you know? So you cry, Jesus, come on now, give me some help, won't you? Look at all the things that have to be done. Why don't you come and send someone in to help me? Life just doesn't seem to be fair. Come on now. Send me some help. So the dirty work is never fun. So you agree? So I can assure you that if you have trouble with this story, you are not the first one. I mean, the dirty work still has got to be done. Martha was doing her best to provide all the guests, and she should be commended for it. Even Jesus is there, and he needs to be taken care of too. Right? She's a very good worker bee, and I'm sure she wanted to make it a very special event for Jesus. So let's not be so negative about Martha. She wanted to give him her best, but something negative happens in the story. Now that's what we want to concentrate on. And rather than being a happy occasion, it turns into a bad occasion for Martha. It is found in verse 40. Let's look at it again. But Martha was distracted with all her preparations. That's the word. So, with the work, you see, she lost her focus. She put the focus on the work, on what's supposed to be done, rather than on the person for whom it is supposed to be done. Can this be a case where Martha is so busy serving Jesus Christ, that she's not paying attention to Jesus Christ himself? It so happens with many of us, workers and ministers in the church. We get so taken up by the work, by the service we are giving, that we forget for whom we are doing it. You know, and so the focus. So today we are going to think about the focus. Because even a good thing, if you lose focus for why it's done, it loses its So, of course, the food is important, for example. The people have to eat to survive, don't they? The basic necessities of life must be taken care of. But what if food becomes the focus? What if food becomes our primary objective? And you know, Jesus said, and the story of giving really shows it. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. For this reason, I say to you, do not be worried about your life as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you will put on. Is not life more than food? Get this. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? So the one who gave you life, will he not give you the food which life needs? So people can, and he also taught this, people cannot live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Now, someone has said, it's better to go hungry than to go wrong. I think our frantic generation needs to hear this teaching. Often we place a value on ourselves based on how busy we are. You know, we rush here and we rush there. And when we meet others, we talk about how much, how much busy we are and how stressed we are. And how to do, and how little time we have. Very little time, we are so busy. We have a frantic life rather than a focused life. We are like Martha. When Jesus said, Martha, Martha, you are worried and bothered about so many things. Perhaps the best thing we could do is stop rushing and start resting in Jesus. Amen. Stop moving and start meditating. Perhaps we need to stop worrying about so many things and refocus on those things that are really important. You see, it's very easy to get out of focus. Very easy. There are several things that happens when we get our lives out of focus. At least they happened to Martha. So let me go down the list for you. So Martha is not such a bad thing. It can be a good subject for us. Loss of focus causes questioning God's care. You know, she came asking, can't you do something? He was asking Jesus now. You can you feel a bit of accusation in her voice when she says, Lord, do you not care? So you start questioning God's care. There seems to be an accusation in her voice. Lord, are you not paying attention to what is going on here? Lord, you leave me with all the work. Can't you tell her to come and help? Don't you care about me? You see? Yeah. Martha was angry at Jesus because he continued to let the situation go on and on and on and on. Notice that Martha addressed her irritation at Jesus. You have to admit that she's the one who gets a woman. She really went to Jesus and said, can't you you don't care about me? So if you are going to work for Jesus, you work, but don't let it get you to start, getting angry at him for making you work. So Martha is accusing of Jesus of not caring for her because she was sure that if Jesus really cared for her, he would have done something about the situation. Now, I wonder if you have ever wondered if God cared for you. Why does he let me do all the work? Have you ever accused him of not caring for you? Think. Have you ever questioned where God is when you're going through times of trouble? Don't look at me. Don't look at me so innocent. I know that I have. You know what I'm talking about? You know that God could fix the situation, yet he seems to sit in silence. You know, when you're talking about how everybody comes to you for help from Uganda, I was thinking I was the only one who was suffering the same thing. But I can now, okay, so it seems everybody is going through the same thing. So, haven't you asked, doesn't God care for me? Is he going to sit back and do nothing? But the Bible teaches that God does care for you, okay? So never ever question God's care for you. But that's what, loss of focus, that's what it causes. How do you know that he looks after you? Well, Hebrews chapter 1:13 verse 5 says, I will never desert you, nor forsake you. Will I ever forsake you? Okay? He said, thank you. May God bless you. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare, not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 cents, yet not one of them is forgotten for God. Indeed, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Don't fear, you are more valuable than many sparrows. Folks, here is a great truth. God always takes care of his children. There may be times in your life when you want God to speak and he doesn't. Don't judge the silence of God as being unconcerned for you. Yeah? He knows what you are going through and he will always watch over you. But Martha was worried more and more about the biscuits, than she was about the blessings. She was more concerned about her roast beef, rather than she was about her relationship with Jesus. Loss of focus always confuses the issue. So the issue is not the food, it's not the service, it's not what you are doing. The issue is for whom you are doing it for. Amen? So God always cares for you. That's number one. So number 2, looking at Martha, loss of focus causes finding fault with others. You start thinking that others are not pulling their weight, pulling their rank. In second part of verse 40, Martha finally explodes with anger. And she comes out of the kitchen, boiling mad. Martha doesn't even call her sister by name. You know, he says, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work alone? Tell her to help me. You see? Boiling mad. He doesn't even want to call, say, you haven't said Mary. He calls my sister. She's mad at the world. And those who are close to her should know it. Yeah? So, how can you know, she's saying, how can Mary just leave me out here to fend for myself? Can't even my sister come and help me? Can't she see what's going on? Who does she think she's just sitting there doing nothing? Have you ever been around people that when they get mad, you don't want to be anywhere in the neighborhood? The explosion may not kill you, but the shrapnel